I've seen that at least a dozen times, and it still chokes me up. Um, these girls are like daughters to me, and just to see that. I was with um, Elid and Zanaba last week, and I want to show you some pictures of what's happened to their life. Um, I've been asked to speak about sex trafficking, the good, the bad, the ugly part of it, and let me start off by saying this, that to paint the picture of what sex trafficking really is about, it is the ultimate horror against children, against young girls that I have ever seen in my life. I've been in war zones and I've been in some ghettos with undescribable poverty. I've seen genocide firsthand in Sudan. I've seen the suppression of governments in North Korea and many other countries. But victims of sex trafficking, there's nothing that can even come close to it, and at least for me. And I've had the privilege of being in the middle of it with the pimps, with the girls, with the customers, and having firsthand experience and just seeing what God is doing in that world and to these girls to help them. We've got 6 homes right now in Ethiopia. We've had a home in Cambodia. We closed that. Our home in Cambodia had girls 4 to 12 years old in it. They were in our program for 2 years. They've successfully went through the program, the counseling and everything, and they've either been reunited with their families, who also received training during that time, or they've been placed with Christian families in Cambodia that adopted them as their own children. We've got 6 homes in Ethiopia, and we're starting a new program in Haiti right now. And also we're working towards getting one open in St. Louis for American victims, American victims here in St. Louis, believe it or not. I don't want to talk, I could talk about the numbers, every year 300,000 American youth are at risk of being victimized by traffickers. Imagine that. Every 2 minutes, a child is prepared for sex trafficking or sexual exploitation. But, you can get all of that kind of information off our website and off many other very good websites. What I want to talk to you tonight about is what God is doing and the good that's happening and how it's making a difference in people's lives. Could you throw up that first picture? I don't know if you can see that very well. That's just what we call the red light district in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, which is the capital city. There's an estimated more than 20,000 girls that work in this area. And they work in these little shanties that are about 6 feet wide by about 8 feet, and they live there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And they are victims of pimps, or people that own them are there because of debt. They can't pay off the debt, and they're stuck in this lifestyle. God opened up for us the doors to there. We walked in there one night, frankly not knowing what we were doing. We rescued our first girl, and from that point, that was in December of 2006. To date, we've rescued more than 130 girls. But you see, that's Zanaba, the girl that was in the video. That was the night we rescued her. She has a little son. The girl on the left of Zanaba is Elid. And Elid, when I met her that night, what you see, the yellow bag, that's all their earthly possessions that they had. Everything. We talked to them, we explained what was going on about our program, and we asked them, do you want to leave? Do you want to come into our program? And they said yes. And so we went, we packed them that night. We try to get them out that night because of what we've learned, that is if they say, well, we'll come back tomorrow, half the time they're not there. So that's the earthly possessions that she had, or both of them had. But what happened was when I met Elid that night, she said, you know what, I have a dream. And I said, what? She said, I want to be a nurse. She said, is that possible? And I said, of course it is. God gave you a dream. Well, last Sunday, Elid graduated from 3-year nursing college with her degree. So, yeah, isn't that cool? This is Zanaba, as of last Sunday. She also graduated from our program. She's going to be in hairdressing. Isn't it amazing the difference? You want to flip to the next one? There's Elid. The neat thing about Elid now, what she's going to do, she's going to come work for our medical clinic. We have a large medical clinic in Ethiopia, and so she's going to be employed by ICA to be a nurse to help us with helping people. So, in the next picture, there's Addis. She graduated for commercial food preparation, and Addis was 15 years old when we found her. She has a little baby. She was very dejected, and she was so bad that she didn't have a room to live in. She had to work the streets and work in doorways and stuff. But as you can see, she's doing really good, and she's learning English. She's picking it up really quickly. But let me try to put a face on what sex trafficking is so you can understand it. And I want to bring it down to a personal level, to a person. The second girl we rescued, her name was Malasic. There's some girls that graduated last Sunday. Malasic was standing in a doorway, and I walked past her at night. And what we do is we walk up and down the alleys in the red light district, and literally we just wait for God to just kind of nudge us or just point somebody out. And as I was walking up to her, she was standing in the shadows. I saw her, and I just walked past her, and I got probably 30 feet away, and I just felt like I need to go back there. And so I turned around, and I looked at her. She was looking at us from the shadows. So I walked up to her, and I worked through an interpreter, and I asked her, how are you doing, and what's your name? And we just struck up a small conversation. After about 5 minutes, I said, can we go in your room and talk? Because there was a crowd starting to gather. Because when there's a white man in the red light district in Addis Ababa, it's never happens. And so, I attract a lot of attention, which is good because we use it to our advantage. Because girls want to come find out, what are you doing here? They think I'm there to pay for the services, but we tell them, you know what? God has a much better plan for your life than what you're doing. And that's how we've been able to get girls rescued. Anyway, go into her room, and we sit down, and the first thing I noticed, above her bed is this picture of Jesus. And I'd seen this picture before. It's Jesus kneeling against a flat rock, and he's praying, and he's looking up to heaven. And I said, do you pray? She said, I pray. I said, do you believe in God? She says, oh, yes. I said, well, what do you pray for? She said, I ask God to get me out of this life, but he never will because I'm a prostitute. And she was 17 years old. We talked some more. I talked to her about God has a much better plan for your life than this. God loves you. What are the chances of an American from the middle part of America, St. Louis, coming here and stopping in your room and talking to you, if that isn't God trying to get your attention? We talked some more, and she said to me 3 times during our conversation, which was about 30 minutes, she said, is what you're saying really true? Now, I assumed the question meant, because we were in a development phase of opening a home to rescue girls and start that whole work. We didn't have a home at that point, but I was telling her what our plans were. And she said 3 times, is what you're saying really true? And so after about 30 minutes, she wasn't ready. She did not want to come with us. I was heartbroken. I was disappointed because, you just want to grab them all. We gave her a phone number to my interpreter's cell phone and said, if you want to talk, call us. Well, 2 days later, Malasic calls. She says she is ready to talk. She wants to talk. And so we sent a car, picked her up, brought her. And then after about 5 minutes of talking to her, she said, is what you're saying really true? And I thought, okay, what do you mean by that?